Yes.
Okay, so I asked you, I'm going to come back to what aloha means, okay? It has to do with what I'm going to talk about today. So I asked you this question last night. Who had time to think about it? Everybody? Okay. I want you to turn to your neighbor and in 30 seconds just quickly share something that you thought about last night when I asked you this question. Okay? Ready? Go. Let's gather back. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Thank you. Anybody just want to shout out, like 2 people? Anything you thought of? Balance between scarcity and abundance mindset. It's great. The balance between scarcity and abundance mindset. It's good. Anybody from over here?
Anxiety, fear.
Anxiety and fear, those are big ones. Those influence a lot of my choices every day. Anxiety and fear, like how you show up to work, which way you go into your office, when you leave, how you leave. You know, your behavior so much is shaped by that. Yeah, it's great. Okay, well, I told you about this woman yesterday. This is Lola. And I want to share this gesture that you see on the screen with all of you. This is called manopo. And manopo is something I did my whole life growing up. Every time you see an elder, typically your grandparents or typically anybody older than you, this is a gesture. You grab their hand and you place it on your forehead. And I was taught it means receiving their blessing, right? And that's what it means. And it's a really big sign of respect, like I honor you. And everything in the islands is all about your elders and your ancestors and where you come from. So it's an ultimate gesture to say, I honor you and I respect you. So I want to share that gesture with you today, metaphorically. I'm not going to come around and do that with each of you physically, but I want you to feel that I am doing my best to see you in that way today, to honor and respect you. I'm not from this community. This is a lot of you are from here, so thank you for letting me come to your community and be here, and I'm metaphorically manopo with you. There's more meaning to this gesture. Indigenously, Philippines, in the indigenous Philippines, the head was the most sacred part of the body. And in all the islands, there's this thing called mana, M-A-N-A. And mana essentially is the human energy in all living things, a spiritual energy, not just in people, but in the sky, and the land, and the trees, and the birds, and the animals. And everyone has mana, but your elders have more mana. And so now imagine taking their hand and placing it on your head, the most sacred part of your body, literal transfer of mana. And that's also something I'm going to ask you today, is let's share some mana today. Let's share some energy, okay? Because what I want to talk about, the only way that it works is if you share an energy with me, all right? It's the only way it works. Okay? So start by just turning to your neighbor. You're not going to manopo, but you're going to tell your neighbor, I'm ready to get vulnerable today. I'm ready to get uncomfortable. Go ahead, tell them. Yes. All right, thank you for that. Okay, that was the consent, so I'm no longer liable. I'm just teasing. It's not that bad. Don't worry, it's not going to be that bad today. Okay, I got a question for you to think about. Imagine if someone followed you for a week. It's not in a creepy way, just like somebody followed you for a week and they were able to read your thoughts. They could see your behaviors, how you acted. You're driving on the road, someone cut you off, they could see how your reactions, they could see your conversations at home, at work. Imagine somebody followed you for a week. What would they say that your life is really about at the end of that week? What would they report back and say your life is about? Okay? For some of us, on the surface, maybe when others are watching, it can appear that we have things together. Right? It can appear that maybe we're looking successful. But then on the inside, sometimes we feel empty. We feel anxious, fear, anxiety. So this begs the question that there's something that's beneath the surface that really matters in all of our life. Because we go through this transaction at the top every day, transaction after transaction after transaction after transaction, in our exchanges with people, in everything that we do. But I've just found that what matters the most is what's happening beneath the surface. And if we're not paying attention to that, then it can cause conflict, turmoil, distrust, all sorts of problems in our life. I was privileged to do a lot of research over the last decade. Fully funded academic research where I was tasked to understand what creates transformational change. And these are the 7 things that I found. I wish I was smart enough to come up with these things in a room by myself. Like maybe some of these other speakers, they're probably brilliant enough to come up with their methodology. I did research, and this is what I found across the board, working with so many different people, different backgrounds, different organizations. These 7 things all contributed to transformational change in their life, in their organization, and in our community. Purpose, commitment, common language, vulnerability, consistency, trusting relationships, and safe space. These were the most consistent things across the board in transformation. Now, I don't have time to talk about all these things today, so I'm going to focus on one, the foundation, purpose. Transformation doesn't even have a chance if there's no deep and meaningful purpose behind it. Right? So if we want to break out of transaction, it starts with purpose. Okay? So, what you see up here on the screen, these are some indigenous peoples in the Philippines. What do you notice about them? Just shout it out. Tattoos, yes. Tattoos. So in the Philippines, when Spain colonized the Philippines and for 300-400 years, when they first got to the Philippines, they actually named the Philippine Islands Las Islas de los Pintados, which is the islands of the painted ones, right? Because they're covered head to toe in tattoos. So tattoos are widely misunderstood in the Philippines today. Modern Filipinos, if you talk to my dad, he would say that tattooing is what criminals have. There's a terrorist stereotype in the Philippines. In modern day Philippines, tattooing is not really accepted, but it's deep part of their indigenous roots. And in the Philippines, there's somebody called a Mambatok. In the Kalinga tribe, specifically, which is northern Philippines, there's somebody called a Mambatok. And that was a calling, like a spiritual calling in the tribes to mark their people. And markings meant everything. It was how they tracked their genealogy. So I have markings on my arm that represent that tracking of genealogy. They track your accomplishments, everything, but most importantly, your purpose. Your purpose was literally marked on you, so you would never forget, every single day. So they have this deep indigenous meaning here today, and so this is what I want us to be thinking about. I want you to be thinking about, by the end of the day, what is your mark of purpose? And I want you to mark that on your heart before I'm done today. Okay? What is your marking? Many years ago, I met a philanthropist. Anybody know what a philanthropist is? I did not until I met the guy. I can't even spell it or pronounce it. Anybody know what a philanthropist is? Typically, usually wealthy person that gives a lot away. Okay? So I met this guy. When he passes, he's about 80 years old still. He's still very healthy. He'll be worth about $1 billion. And all of his assets will be liquidated and it all goes to charity. But he's doing a lot right now. He gives about 10, 20, 30 million a year, every year. And he's just a great individual. Never met somebody so generous. He doesn't like credit for things. He's very behind the curtain. And I met this guy. I had the opportunity to sit knee to knee with him. And he asked me this question. I wasn't even from his community. I lived 2 states away. And he said, I want you to help me create transformational change in my community. Will you help me? What a question. I'm like, what does transformation even mean? He said, write a plan down and send it back to me. So I did. Thought about it, prayed about it, sent it back to him. He said, let's get to work. I like it. First day on the job, he said, here's the deal, Chris. I write the checks and you do the work. Go figure this out. And I was like, what? And I'm like mid to late 20s at the time. I have no idea what I'm doing. But we went to work. So with all these resources at my back, I started trying to figure out how to create transformational change. At the top of my plan, it said bring leaders together. I thought, if we could bring leaders in a community together from all different sectors, education, business, government, nonprofit, faith community, of all different walks of life, if we can get them to come together, then maybe that'll start to catalyze some change. So that's where we started. And in the first 3 years, we poured a couple $1 million into this, and we were working with thousands and thousands of leaders, doing a lot of training, a lot of gatherings, and I'm sad to say that nothing was there to show for it at the end of this 3 years. And I was pretty upset. I was pretty disheartened, actually. I started to think, maybe transformation is not possible, right? Maybe it's just a whimsical wish, or maybe it's just sort of meant to like the divine and faith-based things. Like maybe transformation is just not going to happen. And during the time, we started to define transformation as fundamental shifts towards positive potential in how people think, see, or behave. And that just wasn't happening. Everybody was so fake. I got to know so many leaders in this community so quickly because I had this individual's reputation at my back and his resources. So I knew hundreds of community leaders. And I saw the same thing over and over. People saying all the right things. They come to gatherings like this. They put on the face. They say this. They say that. They go through the motions. And then they leave and nothing happens. And they just go through the motions. Check the box, check the box, check the box. And I was so frustrated thinking that this is why transformation isn't possible. People are too transactional. We're too transactional as human beings. There's no way we're going to create transformation if we are transactional. And again, I was pretty low at this point. I found myself at a community gathering one day, about to give up, honestly, and I felt horrible because I'd wasted this guy's resources. And I'm like, this has been a big waste of my 3 years. Because I don't even have a title. Like, I don't even have a job title. I'm just doing this work behind the curtain. Like, how am I going to get a job after this? I'm at this community gathering, been to dozens of these. I know every single person in the room. I've seen them all, I've worked with them all, I've met with them all one-on-one. Like, this is run-of-the-mill, put the face on, show up, say all the right things, go separate ways. And I'm sitting there, I don't like small talk. I'm really bad at it. So I usually show up right before the meeting starts. I sit in my chair and I observe people and start judging them. So fun. So I'm just judging everybody there, thinking like, this is why. These are the people that are holding us back. And I know those two people. And look at them. They're talking right now. And they've told me separately they don't like each other. And look at them. Look at them go. Acting like they're friends. And I'm just judging all these people. And I realize, and this is like all before the meeting begins. You know, music playing, small talk happening. And I realize I lock in on this. Everybody's shaking hands. There's a lot of handshakes. When was the last time you guys shook somebody's hand? Today. Yeah, it's pretty common. You probably would have never remembered that unless I asked you. The handshake virtually means nothing. Sometimes it represents an important moment, like maybe you get a diploma, a job, something significant happens. But in and of itself, it is a transaction. And it means almost nothing. And then from across the room at this moment, I saw this individual. They lock eyes with me. And I can't avoid it. They start walking towards me. And I don't like this person. They don't know that I don't like them. But I don't like some of their ideology. I don't like the way they carry themselves. I don't like the way they speak. I don't like really anything about them. They're walking towards me, eye contact. Without hesitation, I stand up, start walking towards them, reach my hand out, shake it with a smile and say, "It's nice to see you." We had a few words of exchange, and then the meeting started, and I sat down. And I felt about this big. A moment before I was judging everybody, and then I realized I just did it. And as I'm sitting there and the meeting begins, I had two realizations that were transformative to me. Talk about fundamental shift in how I saw and thought that led to behavioral change. The first thing was I realized that I was the problem. So think about in your life right now, areas of your life where you're stopping transformation because maybe you're not willing to change. And I wasn't until that moment. I realized that not only do I have a problem, but I'm the one beating this drum of transformation, and I can't even do it. Can't even greet somebody and actually mean it. I felt about this big. The next realization I had was even more transformative to me. I saw this handshake, and I'm not very smart, so I had to really dull this down. I'm like, the handshake is so transactional, and that's all we do. And if that's how we start relationships, and transformation's here, transaction handshakes here, those don't match up. So I thought, there's no way we're going to accomplish transformational outcomes if we start every interaction off with a transaction. How is that possible? We're not setting ourselves up for success. We're just going to meander in the waters of mediocrity and transaction and hope and wish and talk about transformation, but we'll never do it. And then I thought of a gesture. In the islands, you don't shake a lot of hands. There's gestures like mano po, you hug, you kiss each other on the cheek. But there's an indigenous gesture. I was first introduced to it by my Maori friends from New Zealand. It's called hongi. In Hawaii, it's called honi. In Samoa, it's called fe'asogi. And in the Philippines, it's not practiced much anymore, but indigenously it was, and it's called ongo. U-N-G-G-N-O. And it means the same thing in all these island cultures, which is to share the breath of life. And it's done by closing your eyes, pressing your forehead and your nose to another, and taking a deep and intentional breath with them. Share the breath. Back to aloha. Aloha literally means alo, which is to share, to give. Ha, which is breath. It means I will share the breath of life with you. And if you're from Hawaii, you've maybe heard the term hauli. What does hauli mean? That's what it means, but most people think it just means either white person or foreigner. But hauli means ha, breath, oli, without. So when foreigners came to Hawaii, guess how they greeted them? Probably a handshake. No breath of life. So I thought of that gesture in this moment. And I just imagined for a second, I would never do this literally because this is not this person's culture. But I thought, what if I didn't shake this individual's hands? What if I would have shared the breath of life with them? And I kid you not, when I imagined that, this person started to change in my mind's eye. I couldn't withhold anymore their humanity from me, from my heart. And immediately I desired to share this with others. I thought, this is it. This is what's going to break us out of transaction. I don't know how, because I can't force people to do this, but this is the secret. We got to stop shaking hands. We have to share the breath of life with each other. Maybe not literally, but metaphorically, and that was what I determined to figure out. So a couple months after that moment, by the way, here's a picture of breath of life. I know it's kind of dull. Probably see it on that screen a little better. A couple months after that, I started Groundwork Leadership. And we gathered all the movers and shakers a year at a time, about 20 to 30 at a time. We spent a year with them. And we thought the theory was, if we can help leaders transform and share the breath with each other and build these trusting relationships, then they go into the community and they start solving some of these big community problems, right? So that was the theory. We got them together, we take them to the coast of Oregon, and we're sitting there, and sure enough, first day, everybody's just going through the motions. I can feel it at this point. It's all transactional. So break comes, and I pull my friend away. His name's Salam. This is Salam in the picture. And I asked him, he was sort of my mentor, and he helped me design this program. So I'm thinking, hey, will you help me demonstrate this with the group? Salam is from Palestine. He told me that there were similar things that he did as a kid, but not exactly the same. So he was like, I'll do it with you. I'm comfortable doing it with you. Salam used to run the Department of Education for the entire state of Oregon. Like, this guy, everybody knows this guy. He's very well known, much older than me. He could be my father. And we come back in the room, and I describe the gesture just like I have to you. And I tell them about the handshake. I tell them about that story that I had and the takeaway that I had. And that we need to stop shaking hands, not literally as leaders in this community, but metaphorically, we have to start sharing the breath of life. Because if we don't share the breath with each other, then how are we going to make change at a transformational level? I just kind of shared that idea. And then Salam and I did this. And it was incredible. I've done this many times, but never in this setting with this sort of tone and meaning behind it. Salam, a very stoic individual, never seen him emotional except for that day. He steps back. He says, let me talk to these people, Chris. And he's truly their peer. I am not. All these people are, a lot more seasoned than I. And he says to them with tears coming down his face, and not a dry eye in the room. He says, I feel more responsible to Chris after doing that. I wasn't expecting that. I don't know how to explain what just happened. And then to my surprise, one of the leaders in the group, she raised her hand and she said, Chris, respectfully, could we try this with each other? Was not expected. And I said, sure. And then I witnessed one of the most amazing things of my entire life as these leaders who control the millions and millions of dollars in our community stood up and shared the breath of life with the leader next to them. It was incredible. Now, I don't have time to tell you everything that happened, but those leaders, even to this day, if they're standing here in front of you, the way that they would speak about each other, some of them tried to sabotage each other before. Some of them would speak ill behind the other one's back. Some of them just went through the motions. They're so close now. Deep, deep, trusting relationships, unlike anything I've ever seen. And they went out into the community. We started impacting education, graduation rate. We started impacting homelessness issues. We started impacting mental health issues. And these leaders actually started to go out and work together in a way that I've never seen it before. And year after year, we started to see the same thing. Now first, I don't want to forget this, that moment taught me something about transformation. It's caught, not taught. I used to think it could be taught. I used to think you could teach it into people. We'll just hold all these workshops and seminars and all these things will happen. Nope. Transformation is only caught, not taught. It wasn't until that moment that people started to really catch it. The other thing that I learned is it's a journey, not a destination. I used to think transformation was a destination, and one day you just make it, you arrive. It's not it at all. It's a journey. And what started with those 15 leaders, these are the actual leaders. You get emotional seeing their faces. Turned in year after year, after year, after year, working with hundreds of leaders in our community, always starting by sharing the breath of life. Soon we had to push record on what was happening. It was amazing. That's when the research began. I went back, got my doctorate degree, my PhD, and the whole work there became the dissertation. And that's when these 7 conditions came to be. So much more to tell about these people and the things that they accomplished in the community. But I want you to think about your life. Where are you shaking hands in your life right now? What needs to change in your relationships, in your organization? Where's the transaction, and how can you break out of it? I want everybody to close their eyes just for a second. I want you to think about a relationship in your life that is struggling, okay? One that's pretty transactional right now. And you think about that relationship, I want you to think about that person. Who are they to you? Are they a friend, colleague, neighbor, family member? What's their name? Think of their name. Now picture their face. What color is their hair? What color are their eyes? What facial features do they have? What blemishes do they have? For just a second, I want you to look past all their imperfections that you know they have. I want you to lean in and press your forehead and your nose to theirs. And then take a deep and intentional breath with them. You can open your eyes. I'm not expecting people to have amazing, profound takeaways in that moment. Some have. Some always do when I do that with folks. But whatever you felt, if there was even a little bit of it, run with that. Because that's how you're going to start catching transformation. That's how it starts. It's a journey, not a destination. I want to get us to the final activity here. Okay? I'm going to do that by coming back to tattooing. Okay? Because the third thing I learned. So first, transformation is caught, not taught. It's a journey, not a destination. It's never comfortable. So if you think transformation is going to be some comfortable ride, it's not. It's always uncomfortable. You know what else is uncomfortable? Getting a tattoo. So, it is. So this is mine. And I want to tell you about it. And it's for a reason. I'm not going to take my shirt off. Sorry. For your benefit, I won't take my shirt off. But this is it. It reaches all the way onto my chest. And every motif on this has meaning. Every symbol has meaning. Everything. Okay, the main part, which loops around, comes all the way into my chest. It looks like kind of turtle shell or snake skin. It's called the ufu. And it essentially is paying homage to your ancestors and those that will come after you. It basically is reaching out arms in time to those that came before you and those that came after. And to me, one of the deepest forms of meaning is knowing where you come from and then living in such a way after knowing that for the people that come after you. We're a chain, and we're just a little link in time. And so that's one meaning. Another one that means a lot to me is on the inside. It's a fern, bako. It was going to be a scorpion tail, which is kind of the thing for warriors, means you're protector, protect your people. But my mamba talk, getting to know me. There's no stencils, he just puts it on you real time. You don't choose anything. He learned my story, he learns what I do and what I care about. And he said, Chris, I actually think more than a warrior spirit, you believe and you care about growth and becoming, which is what the fern represents. So I put the fern on. Everything on here has meaning. As old as time. And everything that I've talked about today, from tattooing to these gestures, I just want to state, are thousands of years old. They've withstood colonization, and they still mean the same thing. Think about that for a second. We reach for some of the best research and modern literature today that's maybe, at best, a couple decades old. Talk about something that's thousands of years old. Talk about my ancestors knew how important it was to have deep and meaningful relationships, so they created a gesture to help remind them of that. Even with your enemies, even in war, they would hongi and ongo with each other to honor the other person. Thousands of years old. Simple gesture. Yet we're reaching for everything we can and watching videos and reading books and doing all sorts of stuff to try to find something that's going to create transformation in our relationships and in our organizations. Let's learn from those that came before us. Because they knew stuff that they figured it out. We've kind of lost it. We're going to do an activity. You have a piece of paper at your tables. Can I grab this real quick? It looks like this. It's called the Purpose Lab. This activity is also in the book. This is what we're going to do for the rest of my time. I think I have like 5 or so minutes left. So the goal is we're going to create our why, our purpose statement, in a why statement in 20 words or less. That's the goal. Who can do that now? You state your why in 20 words or less confidently? No? A couple people? I've only met a handful, and I have done this with hundreds of people. Not a lot of people can do it, which is interesting, because as organizations and things, we spend lots of money and time making a vision statement, but we don't do that for our own life. We should. Okay, what is our why? What is our statement? Okay, and I never ask anybody to do anything I'm not willing to share. Mine's simple. It's give my heart to the divine by being an influence for good and catalyzing transformation in the world. It's mine. It's been that way for years, and I've been blessed to have it. Every major decision I make is determined by that. Okay, the first thing we're going to do, list 5 moments that changed you, good or hard, good or bad. What did each one of those things teach you? 5 moments that changed you throughout your life. These are these things that quietly shape us. Remember Lola? She had many difficult things in life that shaped who she is today. Why she is the way she is today. What's that for you? You go at your own pace. I'm just going to keep clicking through these so I can cover them all. Step 2 is who benefits the most when you show up your best self. List at least 3 names or groups. Who benefits the most when you show up your best? Number 3 is some verbs. What verbs keep showing up in your life? Build, protect, teach, heal. What is it? What verbs keep showing up? When you get to it, I give a simple template here. You don't have to use it, but you can if you want. I exist to insert a verb or who by doing what, so that there's this sort of impact. And trim it to 20 words or less. Doesn't have to be perfect. Please don't think it has to be perfect. Later you can throw it into chat or Claude and they'll probably get something real sexy for you. But the best thing is just whatever comes to mind right now. Write that statement down. It does not have to be perfect. And the last bit is, what's one word or symbol that captures your state? That word is your tatak. That's the indigenous word for tattoo. That word or symbol is your tatak. Okay, you'll have time later to refine this. Can't see it, it's at the bottom of the screen, but here's the fun part. We're going to make it a tatak today. So there's markers at your table. Okay, there's markers in the middle, black and silver. For our darker skin complexion folks, there's silver if you want to use silver. And we're going to make a tatak. Okay? And then we have a photo booth set up upstairs, and we take these really incredible images that we'll make available to you. We'll do a close-up where it's just your marking, and we'll do some farther back, and they'll be available to you in a few days after we do some edits. But we want to create this memento for you to remember your purpose. We're marking it literally on ourselves today. I hope that you live with it marked permanently on your heart. But the reason why I got this tattoo, I wanted it for a long time and I fought it for a lot of different reasons, but I got it. It reminds me every day of my purpose. Who came before me? Who's going to come after me? And that I have responsibility today to live each day with purpose and meaning. And it keeps me at least desiring to break out of transaction every day. And as you draw these markings on your arms or your hand, which by the way, try to do it in a way that you can take a cool shot, so plan it out, right? If you need your neighbor to draw on you. So don't do it somewhere that would be hard to take a picture, like right here, you know. Hand, arm, we want to capture a really amazing photo for you. And as you go around the rest of the day, notice what's on people's hands or arms. And break out of transaction. Don't just ask them what they do for work or why they're, what their job is, or the typical transactional questions we ask. Ask them what their purpose is, what that marking means. And we'll be up there all day, so you can come and get a photo at your choosing in breaks or lunch. We'll be up there. And I have some books and some t-shirts too that I can give away to some folks. If anybody wants to know anything else about me, you can scan here, and I'm happy to get on the phone or talk to you more about some of the work that we're doing and the research on these 7 conditions. We just barely scratched the surface today on one of them. But I appreciate your time. I hope that you can feel that I desire to share the breath with you today. I'm an introvert by nature. What did she say yesterday? Selective introvert? Situational? That's me. That's me to the core. I'm introverted, but I can turn it on, and I like it, but I'm pretty quiet otherwise. But just know that I'm doing my best in interactions to see you, share the breath with you, and I encourage you to do the same today.